You've probably heard all sorts of stories, but this one is a bit different. Imagine a moment where everything you thought you knew about life and people gets turned upside down. A 73-year-old man, someone most would consider to be far past their prime, wanted something unexpected from me. And I let him in. But why? Stay with me as we dive into a story that's about more than just age. It's about connection, humanity, and a surprising turn of events. It all started on an ordinary day, or at least it seemed that way. I was going about my daily routine when I encountered this elderly man for the first time. At first glance, he seemed like any other senior citizen you might meet. His movements were slow, deliberate, but there was something else that caught my attention: his eyes. They were sharp, filled with a kind of energy I wasn't used to seeing in someone his age. At first I didn't think much of it. He looked like he needed some help with directions, so I stopped to assist him. After all, it's not unusual for older people to need a hand now and then. But then, something happened that made me pause. He didn't just ask for directions. He asked me if I could help him in a way I never expected. He invited me to hear his story. And I didn't know it at the time, but that invitation would change everything. So, this 73-year-old man, who I thought was simply lost, started to open up. His name was John, and he was telling me how he felt increasingly disconnected from the world around him. It wasn't just about age, it was the isolation he felt as he got older. People don't treat seniors the same way they treat younger people. Many often forget about their lives, their stories, and their importance. What struck me was how passionately he spoke about this issue. John wasn't just asking for company. He was asking for someone to listen, to be present with him, and to not judge him for his age. He explained how, over the years, he'd seen friends pass away, family grow distant, and how hard it was to feel invisible in a world that constantly prioritizes youth. I listened, and as I did, something inside me shifted. Here was a man who had lived a full life, but still had so much to say. His words made me realize how easily we overlook the elderly in our society. They've experienced so much, and yet we rarely take the time to truly hear them. We sat there, just the two of us, talking about life, about memories, and about the lessons he'd learned. John's stories were rich with history, with wisdom. He told me about his younger days, the adventures he'd had, and the things he wished he'd done differently. It was clear he wasn't asking for sympathy. He was simply sharing his truth. I've always believed that every person has a story worth telling, but sitting there with John, I realized that some of the best stories come from the most unexpected places. This wasn't some ordinary conversation. This was a genuine exchange of experiences, a bridge between two generations. What John wanted wasn't just someone to listen. He wanted someone to be there with him in the moment, without judgment or pity. And that's exactly what I gave him. I stayed and listened, as we both shared pieces of our lives, connecting in a way that transcended age, background, or circumstance. As the conversation continued, John's story took another turn. He shared that he wasn't just talking about his loneliness. He was also asking for something more, something that I wasn't initially prepared for. Now, before you jump to conclusions, let me clarify that John wasn't asking for anything inappropriate. What he was asking for was something that I think we all can relate to at some point in our lives: the desire to feel seen, valued, and important. As the conversation deepened, he admitted that, at his age, he felt like his life was winding down, and he was grappling with the idea that he wouldn't be around much longer. But there was a strange optimism in his words. He said that even though he felt the weight of time pressing on him, he wasn't ready to give up on life. He wanted to experience joy, connection, and meaning in whatever time he had left. And in that moment, I realized what I was witnessing wasn't just an old man talking to a stranger. It was a human being, looking for one last chance to feel alive. And I think, deep down, we all want that, to know we matter, no matter our age. When John finally left, I was left standing there, almost in a daze. The world had shifted for me in that brief encounter. It wasn't just about helping someone with directions or giving them a moment of company. It was about something much deeper, the power of truly connecting with another person, especially when they need it the most. I realized that we often overlook our elders, assuming they don't have anything left to offer, or that they're too set in their ways to want anything new. But John showed me how much we stand to gain by not only listening but by engaging with people from all walks of life, no matter how different they might seem from us. This experience taught me several important lessons. 1. Age is just a number. Our perceptions of people are often clouded by their age. But wisdom, knowledge, and experiences aren't bound by years. John had so much to teach me, and I hope I can pass that message on. 2. Loneliness has no age. Whether you're young or old, loneliness can affect anyone. And sometimes the simple act of being present with someone can make a world of difference. 3. We all need connection. John wasn't just asking for company, he was asking for connection. At some point, we all need someone who will listen, who will understand, and who will share in our human experience. Now, I want to ask you, how often do you take the time to truly listen to others, especially the older generation? How often do we push aside people who may seem different because of their age? I hope this story has helped you reflect on how we treat those around us, regardless of their age, and the impact of simple human connection. Thank you for sticking with me through this story. I hope it made you think a little differently about how we interact with the world around us. If you've had any similar experiences, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And always remember, the greatest stories come from the most unexpected places. Keep seeking connections and keep being kind. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that remind us of the power of human connection.